Today I want to give you guys an update on my PC build. Now a few weeks ago I did a live stream where we rebuilt the computer live on air into the new case. If you've been following my channel you'd have seen I put a couple of videos out on my old case, which was the Corsair Spec Delta RGB, and whilst it was a very nice small and compact RGB case, it had absolutely terrible airflow, and I decided to upgrade it to this, and this is the Phanteks P400D RGB. Now what I want to do today is give you guys an overview of this case. I'm going to show you how my build actually turned out in the end, give you a bit of a look at it and give you my thoughts on what I think it's like, and then at the end I'm going to give you my recommendation on if I think you should consider buying this PC case or not. Today's video is sponsored by us. If you find it interesting, please do check out some of our other content, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the little bell and select all. That way you'll get updates on any new videos we release in the future. We also have a brand new dedicated live streaming channel. Sunday evenings 10 PM UK time I go live on this channel talking more drones and tech. It would be fantastic to see you on the stream. There's a link to that channel in the description of this video as well. Please head over there, hit the subscribe button and the bell as well, and I look forward to seeing you on the stream. Finally, if you'd like to support the channel, please do check out some of the links in the description of each video. These are affiliate links, but the income from these does allow us to keep buying products to be able to talk to you guys about on the channel in the future. First thing we're going to do is take a look at how the build actually turned out in the end. Then we're going to jump into the case itself and give you guys a bit of an overview before I built it up. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you my thoughts on it. So as I've said, this case is the Phanteks P400D RGB. It comes with a fully removable mesh front panel to give you the best possible airflow. Because this is the RGB model, it comes with 3 color changing fans as standard, and unlike many cases, it actually has a built-in RGB and fan controller as part of the case as well. Talking a little bit about my build itself, this one is an AMD Ryzen 3800X. It is on the MSI X570A Pro motherboard. It has the Corsair H100i RGB cooler, the Gigabyte 2060 RTX graphics card, and I've also got an Elgato streaming card in there as well. Now the way I actually ended up setting this one up was with a push and pull arrangement on the radiator, with the original fans on the front dragging the air in, and then the original Corsair fans as part of the H100i then pulling that straight through into the case, and then this is being exhausted out the top of the case via 2 fans that are at the top for exhausting the air when it gets a bit hot, as well as the permanent exhaust fan which is located on the back. There is also the 3rd fan at the bottom at the front, which is just pulling some air through, cooling the internal drives, which I've got at the bottom for additional storage as well. Now one thing I wanted to mention was the setup of my all-in-one cooler, and you can see that the pipework is actually coming off the water pump and goes to the bottom of the radiator rather than the top. This has been done intentionally, and it actually is a recommendation from Steve at Gamers Nexus. This setup should give you the least amount of noise, but it should also help the lifespan of your all-in-one cooler as well. Now, as this is the DRGB version of the case, that means it has a built-in RGB and fan controller. Now, a nice feature is that you can actually change both the pattern of the RGB as well as the color from buttons located on the front of the case. You do also have the option to actually hook it up to an RGB header on your motherboard, which is the rainbow RGB, and control the LEDs that way. However, for me, I preferred to simply use the button to control them on the front. And as you can see, we can shift it through various patterns of LED which is available, and we can then switch it through any of the colors that we want to, allowing you to change it via your mood or your room setting, or just have it on an automatic mode to allow it to scroll through various colors for you. Taking a closer look at the case on the bench before I actually built it up, as you can see, it is a fine mesh front panel. There is no dust filter included with this front panel either, so the dust collects basically in the mesh itself. As you can see along the top, you've got this plastic overhang, and this is where the buttons are located for controlling the fans and the RGB LEDs. Moving around to the side of the case, you will find a full-size clear tempered glass side panel. This is held on by 4 easy to grip thumb screws. Moving around to the back of the case, you will find all the usual holes that you would expect, with your PSU mounted at the bottom and your motherboard output connections at the top. In the middle, you will find your card bays with the blanking plugs in place with nice easy to use thumb screws. Something to take into account is there appears to be quite a large gap down by these thumb screws with no cover included as part of the kit. At the bottom below the PSU, you will find a built-in dust filter, and as I said earlier, at the top of the case you will find 2 USB 3 ports, microphone and headphone socket, as well as the buttons for controlling the fan and the RGB LEDs, and these are actually located underneath the plastic overhang at the front, with the logos located on the top. In the middle, you will find an oval power button with its own RGB LED. On the top, you have a magnetic removable dust filter, just like you find on many cases these days. Here you can mount your all-in-one cooler or additional fans like I've got for actually exhausting the warm air. For me, I didn't actually have enough room to get the all-in-one cooler and fans there with the VRM heatsink on my motherboard. Looking inside the case, overall it has plenty of options available to you. You have your 3 fans included, located at the front, and they're actually mounted on the inside as standard. For my setup, I ended up actually moving them to mount them on the outside between the front of the case and the front panel, and then I have my all-in-one cooler on the inside. As I have said, these are RGB LEDs and they are controlled by the built-in fan and LED controller that is located at the top of the case inside. Molded into the case at the front, you have some additional bays for attaching SSD drives. You have the rubber grommets covering over your cable entry points, and you then have your motherboard posts and locations all in place, ready to plug everything in as you would expect. Now, the quality of this case inside is okay. I'm not going to say it's extremely strong. The metal is quite thin in places. However, the overall feel of the case, once it's been put together, is solid. You just might find a few things flex a little bit when you're actually putting everything in place. Now, looking around to the back with regards to cable management, you've got an additional 2 2.5-inch drive bays located on the right hand side, and they also include these nice Velcro straps for holding all of your cables in place as well as you're setting the case up. Then at the bottom you have 2 3.5-inch drive bays with plastic quick removable clips. Overall, the cable management options on this case are pretty good, but there are a lot of cables included with it as standard to set up the RGB, and you've then got all of the additional headers as well, such as the DRGB connector and fan connectors for getting everything set up. Okay, so to give you my thoughts on the Phanteks P400, now I've assembled it and put it together. Overall, I am extremely happy. There are some really nice features on this case. The fact that it has an all-mesh front panel, the fact they include the RGB controller as well, and it has plenty of space and available options inside. It's a nice finish with a nice glass side panel as well, and the overall look and feel of the case is very good once it's assembled. The RGB works very well, and I do like the way that you can control them from the buttons on the front and change the colors or the modes depending on your mood. However, everything is not perfect with this case, and for me there are 1 or 2 downsides as well. They are the fact that you do find that the metal in certain places in this case is very, very thin. It does feel a little bit cheap, and whilst it's solid once it's put together, you can clearly feel there is some cost cutting here and there. Further to that, there is a stupid screw located on a panel on the inside here, which is virtually impossible to get to when you're trying to put the case together. And I also struggled with height on this case, and I still couldn't put my all-in-one cooler at the top to allow me to have the fans blowing in and then the hot air and the radiator being pushed out of the top. Now, that is partly to do with the fact I'm using the Vengeance RGB Pro RAM, but there isn't enough clearance to even get past my VRM heatsink on the motherboard as well. So it is a shame there isn't a little bit more space at the top of the case to be able to give me more configuration options. As I said in the video, in the end I ended up having the 3 fans on the front pushing the air in, the Corsair H100i being mounted behind them, and then their fans dragging that air into the case, and that air being exhausted by the additional 3 case fans. Now my setup has the 3 fans on the front being controlled by my motherboard. The H100i is controlling its 2 fans, and then the motherboard is also controlling the 2 on the top and the 1 on the back. I do still have some tuning I do need to do on this case just to get things set up correctly, because it is running a little bit louder than it probably needs to, but overall the setup, the layout, it is very nice. The final downside for me on this case is around cable management, and the fact that even though you have a fan controller and an RGB controller included, there is still an absolute ton of cables in this case before you've even put anything into it, and it just adds a little bit more to the overall cable management. You have the RGB connector, the fan headers, the power connector for the RGB controller as well, and whilst it isn't particularly anything unusual, I think more could have been done around that cabling to keep it a bit tidier. And when you do take the panels off when you first get it, you suddenly think, my god, there's an awful lot in you before I've even started. Overall, I think for £99 or so I paid in the UK, I am very happy with it. Here and now, it's doing everything I expect it to do. The quality is decent once it's assembled, and it's nice to be able to control their fans on the front and the RGB colors as well. That is it for this video. It is a massive improvement on the Corsair Spec Delta RGB that I had before, and I can see this being the last case that I use for a very long time unless something else interesting comes to light. Now, if this video has been useful, please do consider hitting that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the little bell as well. As I said, I did a live stream of this PC build on this channel, and you can check that video out as well. I'll put a card up somewhere by there now in a minute so you see it. Also, check out my second channel where I live stream on there once a week, as well as doing random live streams as well. That is a new channel that I am building up as well. Finally, if you'd like to support the channel, please do check out the links. You can get your Secret Lab chair as well as some other products as well, and by purchasing via them, you're helping to support the channel to allow us to keep making content. That's it for this one. Thank you for watching, and I will do another video again soon.